anytime I read or hear the phrase having it all, it's usually along the lines of, can women really have it all? How does she manage to have it all? But we're trying to have it all, ladies! The underlying message to all of it is that there will always be a trade-off. If you are an ambitious woman who might want to have a family and also a long-term relationship and maybe something of just an interesting life, get ready to sacrifice, baby, because having it all means that you're either going to have the corner office and a cheating, emasculated spouse and juvenile delinquents for children, or you will have a happy home life and a lackluster Etsy store. Perhaps the uncanniest thing about having it all is that it's both a reward and a risk. We're supposed to go for it because that means we've made it, but woe unto ye who tries. And also, since I harp on gender all of the time, I have literally never heard it applied to dudes. Have you ever heard guys worrying about whether or not it's possible for them to have it all? I've got the answer. It's never. These general struggles of how am I gonna figure out my life and be successful in my career and maybe have a family and maybe travel, I don't know. That's just called being a human. That in no way is gender specific. But the idea of having it all and trying to have it all is absolutely gendered female. And in some popular narratives, having it all is misrepresented as the goal of feminism. Evil feminists are not interested in things like intersectional gender equality, wage fairness, affordable childcare, reproductive rights, and not having to ever shave our pits again. No, feminism is about being able to remain sexually appealing, well-dressed women with perfect Instagrammable children, dynamite career, a luxurious travel schedule, and a husband who looks like he walked straight out of a J. Crew catalog. That is how I choose my choice. Am I right, ladies? In fact, the whole having it all thing started with a 1980s bestseller by legendary Cosmopolitan editor Helen Gurley Brown. Having it all, love, success, sex, and money, even if you're starting with nothing, was the runaway hit of 1982. Having it all contained all sorts of tips from Helen Gurley Brown on how to get ahead as a woman in the workplace. And let me tell you, all of her advice is 100% healthy, such as you may have to have a tiny touch of anorexia nervosa to maintain an ideal weight. Not a heavy case, just a little one. And also warned that if you're not a sex symbol, you're in trouble. But notably, one thing having it all offers zero advice on is kids. And I say it's notable because in today's having it all discourse, kids are essentially a prerequisite for having it all. And the thing is, Helen Gurley Brown didn't even want the book to be named Having It All. Instead, this is a fact, you can Google it, she wanted it to be called The Mouse Burger Plan, a book by a loser who got to be a winner. Yeah, but of course, publishers were like, Helen Gurley Brown, that is a terrible name for a book, and thus named it Having It All, and it flew off bookshelves and right into our lives, which means, ladies, we got mouse burgered.